All right, folks, we're live for Friday. I won't be live as long tonight. Was not particularly up to it as it was, but I see Lars is in here early, and Ron, and Mohawk, and my aunt, and Ryan Barr's Ness, and Andy's here. Danny Boyd NSB, thank you guys for turning out. Big Mike, the one-eyed cat, Barrows, everybody. What's happening? Rabbit Transit J. So it won't be long too live tonight, but I definitely wanted to plug the last content creator workshop of the season. It's going to be this Sunday here on this channel, 5 p.m. Eastern or 4 Central. We're going to have Buck from Buck Does It on because he is our first season No Name 500 winner. And I try to get the guys who have done it, not just know how, but have done it with the time constraints and everything. And every guest I've had for the Content Creator Workshop this season has done that. They are No Name 500 All-Stars, all of them. So we're going to have Buck on there, and every one of you can do it. We did have the Schmidt Show Garage, Barkley Schmidt. He has officially registered and joined the No Name 500. So if you see him on the site, he does have the farthest way to go, but he can do it, and all of you can do it. So everybody has a shorter way to go than Barkley, but all of you can do it. And going to that Content Creator Workshop is definitely a good way to do so. Help you get the most out of your YouTube content. Not telling you how to do more work. We're telling you how to get more for the work you do, in essence. Yes, Barrows, it's been super busy. This week has been really busy, and this day is just, it fell off a cliff. But I've been cleaning, and it's funny, I saw Ron mention trimming around the Roach Runner. That's actually, I've done a whole bunch of yard work, and that is part of it, but I'm reconfiguring the back area and the concrete pad and all. I'm trying to take advantage of this summertime weather because I absolutely hate the cold, and the way you try to deal with the cold is just try to get your stuff done before it gets cold. I see indirect connection in here, Levi. Lots of No Name 5. I think every single person on the chat right now in front of me is a No Name 500 alumnus. Every single one of them, which says a lot. Got Andrew Nelson here, and we got a knock at the door. Got Andrew Nelson here, and we have the Nelsons. The Nelsons on the live. What's going on, folks? We have the Nelsons. We got an echo. We got a YouTube browser open, sounds like. Calvin's super sensitive microphone is picking up the neighbors watching the stream. Barrow says nothing worse than pouring mud in October. There's not much worse than pressure washing, having mud running over your feet. I didn't realize how bad this concrete slab was until I started pressure washing it and saw how just unlevel and ridiculous it is. But it's better than working in the dirt.
There we go. Okay, can you hear us now?
I sure can. Indirect Connection says he's wearing his Nivlac 57 shirt as he watches this.
Nice. Well, we appreciate the support.
Hey, thanks for joining me. I could have flipped a coin either way, whether or not I even wanted to go live tonight. It's been one of those days. And, it's funny. I got a message from Andrew. I said, well, hey, if you guys want to join me, we'll go live for a little while. So we got Andrew and Calvin here. And what's up with you guys? What do you got going on?
Not too much, and I appreciate all the effort you put into bringing this on every Friday night.
Thank
For
you.
me, it's a kind of a relief to get to the end of the week and join the community, and we really appreciate that. And I love getting together with everybody. It's been crazy up here for us. Last weekend we were thrashing like crazy people. Got home Friday at 4:30, and there was no engine in Calvin's car. And we dropped the engine in Friday night, thrashed it together. Saturday, about 2:45, we fired it up. He drove around the block, drove it in the trailer. We drove to West Ohio, and his first pass off the trailer was in 40s at 140 miles an hour. And before the event was over, he had taken first and second place. He drove my Camaro last weekend at the event, and it took first, and his wagon took second. And
Wow.
it was a good time.
Cool. You guys cleaned up.
Yep. So,
What,
but
this
yeah,
is,
it's just crazy getting everything. Work is full bore. I work in the construction, so this time of the year you're trying to make hay as fast as you can, and that orange sign behind you becomes a thundering, banging, clanging reminder of how fast time eclipses.
well, you've got a good window right now because you don't have the rain of the spring or the snow of the winter. And so for construction work, this is a good time of year.
Yeah. Well, it's been abnormally hot, so the guys have been really struggling out there with the heat. Where I work at, they have to wear basically a triple layer with Nomex and fire retardant clothing. So it's exhausting to be out there, and I know it wears me out, and I'm able to escape the heat a little bit as I go in and out of the job trailer.
Well, welcome Barkley and T's Good Time Garage. They just sneaked in here. Barkley, I just mentioned you and said that you just registered and officially joined the No Name 500. So our last content creator workshop of the season is going to be this Sunday with Buck Does It, 5 p.m. 5 p.m. Eastern time on my channel. So if you can join us, we can help you out. Any of you guys are welcome. But we won't be on too long. Glad to have the Nelsons on. And there's 48 days left, actually 47 days and 3 hours and 31 minutes. What's your plans, when you've got a time crunch? Because you guys are pros at time management. I figured that out a long time ago. Time management is one of the big things that, like, people talk about the cool cars and the fast stuff and all of that. They don't talk as much about the administrative stuff like time management, right? So if you were to give some advice to people, they've got fewer than 48 days to go, what would you suggest to them?
Well, one of the biggest things that we use is, a lot of planning, and we all know the old saying, fail to plan, plan to fail. We, prior to calling it an evening, we talked about everything that we plan to do tomorrow and for the next 3 weekends with a plan of attack on how we want to get our next project done. So when we started laying that out, we go through what makes the most sense time-wise. We talk about what parts we need. We're always looking ahead so that we know that the material's going to be here by the time we get to that stage of the work. So, a week ago we were talking about a distributor, making sure that it was going to be in so that come Sunday, when we set the engine back into the car, we can go right into setting the distributor into it and start doing the wiring work and that kind of thing. We're talking about, rebuilding the rear suspension 2 weekends from now, which is going to lead to the drive shaft. And we talked about which vendors we're going to be reaching out to get the parts here. And that's a major thing, is that you don't have the interruption with the materials. And we don't like to plan our work that it's just in time for the materials. We prefer to have them, 1, 2, 3 weeks ahead of schedule. But as we've gone from event to event to event this year, we've gotten a little bit tighter on our time frames in that respect, but we always look about a month in advance to try and figure out where we're at and try and line up the materials to be here in time for that. But probably the single biggest, there's two big things that we take full advantage of. Calvin has talents and I have talents, and they overlap, and they also complement. And there's a certain series of activities that I will do that he'll take the next steps to, and I'll move on to the next thing. And there's certain things that I'll do or he will do. And where we have to complement each other, we're always looking at how do we do that. This week while I was traveling for work, he was doing a lot of welding, ran out of welding gas. I was able to get home. I go get the bottles filled. And it's just a complementary partnership that we have that really allows us to get a lot done. But in addition to that, probably the single biggest thing that we have that we work in our favor for success is if we have 5 minutes, we do a 5-minute job. We don't let those small time gaps go away. We take advantage of it. There's times when you do need to rest, relax, and I understand that. But when you have small windows of time, if you stack them all together, you can gain half a Saturday through the course of the week just by capturing those small chunks of time. And especially when you focus on, and one of the rules of our builds are work on what you don't want to work on first. And by using that as a strategy, what it does is as you start to run out of gas towards the end of the project, you're spending more time working on what you want to work on. So it's actually energizing, where getting the things that you want to work on the least can drain you down a lot faster. And if you push that towards the end of the project, it'll just totally suck the wind out of the project. And a lot of times you don't succeed because every time you think about what you got to do is something you don't want to do. And we spend a lot of time, we will have conversations of what don't you want to do? And then we'll go work on that. And that has been, in my opinion, one of the strongest elements of our success, because as we get close to the end, we're actually starting to have fun doing the things that, makes this sport so much fun.
It's interesting you say that, because I've been doing a big project of working on my work area that's beside the garage. I've lost it to just letting it get cluttered. And it's a great working spot. It's not under roof, but there's a huge concrete slab. And I realize, the more of these, when I have an hour somewhere, I should take it. Don't let that hour get gone, because at the end of the day, if that job takes X amount of hours and every spare hour I throw at it, that's the only way to ever really get your stuff done. Because otherwise it just turns into a one of these days thing. That's how we wind up there. And I've just known too many people who will wait until they say, okay, well, now I have time. They'll throw a whole day at it. And that day, not realizing how much worse things have gotten over time, that day doesn't go 20% as far as you think it would. Because you find all these other things that, whereas when you throw an hour at a time or a half hour at a time, you really see how much more you get done. And that's huge to doing any of these projects. And that's actually what I see keeping a lot of these projects from getting done and making it to No Name Nationals. People will say, I can get that done in 30 days. And 30 days comes and we're about 30%.
Well, we've all heard the old saying, mind the pennies and the dollars will take care of themselves.
Yes.
Well, that applies to our lives too.
Yep.
You take care of the minutes and the hours take care of themselves. And when you think about that, I hear so many people say, I don't have time, the day's not long enough. Well, I'm sorry, but we all wake up with the same 24 hours. It's how we choose to spend them. A portion of it has to be sleeping. A portion of it has to be eating. but how efficient are you? How quickly do you get to work? How effective are you with your work? And that's, we're not perfect at it, but there's certain habits that we have that make a lot of productivity out of small opportunities, and that's a huge advantage.
Yeah, I'll give an example. Getting ready for this most recent race that we talked about, or Dad talked about earlier. Just taking some time to go out into the garage, on my lunch break, just to, go through and, okay, here's what I need to get done, and making a list, and then being, putting things, changing the order of things to get them in the right, procedural order, so that it's like, I can't put the fender on until I'm done with this work. I can't, just getting stuff organized in a list so that you can just go out there and start working.
Yep.
Is really helpful as well, so that you're not going out there and you're like, what was I working on before? What do I need to do? Just putting things in a nice, well, I can't do that until I have this done. I can't do this, and play around with stuff on the whiteboard until you have a game plan, so that when you get out there, you can be effective.
You shouldn't be looking for tools or looking for a plan. You shouldn't be looking for either of those things when you go out there. Both of those should be right there.
Yep.
But anyway, it is 48 days to go, and this is just that time when projects start falling like flies. And I would just encourage people to look at the people who show up every year and have the program together every year, and you'll see what they all have in common. So you'll see the Nelsons, you'll see Just Mopar Joe, you'll see the Bad Tree guys. There's lots of folks that you can see and say, well, what do they have in common? Because, personality-wise, those guys aren't necessarily much in common. But what you'll see is that they work all the time, and they're always chipping away, and they're always getting their stuff done. And that's huge.
Well, we're definitely looking forward. It's become part of our almost daily conversation about getting ready for the event. We started talking about getting hotel reservations and mapping out where we're going to stop on the way out there. I dropped the line to you earlier to make sure we don't miss our trip to Lambert's.
Right.
That's something that we enjoy, the camaraderie that we get to share out there at that event, that part of the event.
Now, what is that? As I noticed a comment from Ron here. He says, this is a spiritual moment, realizing life is lived in days, hours, and just as short of a second. Time is the one thing we never get any more of.
No.
I mean, you want to be smart and efficient with your money, and we don't want to take money for granted. But at least with money, you have an opportunity to earn more of it. There's lots of things you don't want to waste. You don't want to mismanage. But time is the one thing that no matter what you do, you only have a certain amount. And it's all just how you use it. And that's a big deal with the No Name Nationals for me, is seeing how many guys will make a project happen that, say, has been sitting there for 8 or 9 years. And now that they're with all their colleagues and contemporaries and friends motivating them, they're finally making something happen.
Yep.
And I'm not taking any credit for it, but the fact that there's all of that common goal, because, the two big things for goals, you have to have a time frame and you have to have an action plan. You got to have both those, right? And so I'm giving the time frame. We're just picking that for you, right? And then the action plan, well, you got all the support in the world from the community to help you with the action plan. And so there you go. You got a goal and can go for it. And I'm seeing people mobilize on that. And that makes me really happy to see them doing that. And we've got lots of great examples and leadership with folks like you. So I like to think that they can see that and say, hey, this is what happens when you put a lot of work in and stay motivated and use those 10 minutes at a time wisely to do 10-minute jobs, like you said. So a couple questions floated through. What are you guys bringing to No Name Nationals, or do you know yet? Well, you can take the fifth if you want. This is not 2020.
One of them
I saw it come through the chat.
One of them is hopefully right there, right up there. And The other one is between two different cars. It's
All right.
we're either gonna bring my station wagon or the yellow Camaro that we recently finished, and I'm leaning towards taking the station wagon just because I've been having a lot of fun with that recently, and it would be cool to cruise that over to Lambert's and be hopefully one of the quicker cars there, and be cruise back and forth to Lambert's. So I think that would be win the cool award.
I think you guys will be the first people to bring two different cars each of the first 3 years. I don't think anybody else has done that.
Well,
So
that's
interesting.
we're actually known for doing that. When one of the other communities that we're strong participants in is the Grassroots Motorsports Challenge, and in all the years that we've participated in that, we've taken the most number of different cars to it, including every year for the first. Well, in the first 5 years, we had 4 different cars, and as we got Calvin got old enough to get a license and he was able to get a car and take one himself, we were taking 2 cars, different cars each year, and it's something that we enjoy, and it's also very complimentary to the YouTube channel. We get to share what we're doing on the channel, and it gives us a place to take it and participate in a reasonably low stress environment, and that is probably one of the things that I enjoy the most about this event and the Grassroots Challenge is having a culture there that's very inviting towards new things, what you do, and being able to share that with everybody is certainly a big part of this and a lot of fun. I love seeing what everybody's doing. It's funny. I watched Scott building his Duster for a while there, and then I wanted to see that car make it out to the event, and I'm hoping that it's going to be there because it was one of my favorite series on cars being built. And I watched so many of the guys building their projects, and it's really a joy for me to see the final product in person. And I hope others feel the same way about our junk.
Well, with 60 days to go, Scott decided to change course and go with the Duster. And I think that's great. And I want to see it. I want to see Scott get a win.
Yeah.
Not just necessarily a win on the track, but to make that car run and drive and get there, that's a big win. It's a big thing. Yep. Have you guys had any call outs? Are you thinking about issuing any?
Nope. No, we'll play low key like we have done in the past. We're certainly not going to turn them down, but right now, if we bring the car that we're working on, we'll be very open to any call outs.
Fair enough. And of course, we say call outs, and Joe appears in the chat.
Well, he's one of my favorite YouTube channels to watch. I have really enjoyed watching his channel grow, and I love his demeanor, his presentation. He is truly one of my favorites.
My mom has 2 channel shirts: No Name Nationals and Just Mopar Joe. Joe's a good dude. YouTube notwithstanding, he's a good dude.
Yep.
And 38 POS Racing has a question for you guys. Racer Ray says, to the Nelsons, do you do anything non-automotive for relaxation?
Not really. I can't think of anything.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, I'm growing a pepper plant at the moment.
We have a cat. I like to pull its tail.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, we really don't do much. I mean, we're taking advantage of the opportunities that we have in the community. Between the drag and drive events that we participate in, some of these events, it really is all consuming. at this point in time. And it's when I finally retire, I'm going to try and do a little bit of traveling. But for the most
And
part,
how many days is that?
643 if I go short, and 1,011 if I go long.
I knew you. And see, it's funny because people think it's funny that I count these days. I think, boy, if they only knew. You have your own orange paper.
No, it's I've been very blessed to be surrounded with a lot of people with great talent where I work at. I truly appreciate what they do, and we have our tribe, and we have our a work ethic that is accountable to each other, and it makes it possible. And it's a privilege. I started there. I was 23 years old. My goal was to get out at 63. So, to spend 40 years essentially in the same place is not something that happens that long. And, both myself, my wife, and both my sons, we're all dedicated and very committed. I've been married to Paula 35 years, and I'm proud of that. I've been where I've been at for many years and many decades, and I'm proud of that. And I see that commitment has cascaded itself onto the boys, and the things that they do make me very proud.
It's interesting because Racer Ray there is asking if you do anything non-automotive for relaxation. If you've ever been to the Nelsons, you will know they live this. This is their lifestyle. There are people who, let's say, for whatever reason, they'll have like some kind of windfall and say, okay, I want to go racing now, and try to take some. They say, well, let's see, I was, bungee jumping here, and been hang gliding. Now I want to race. That's not these guys. These guys, it's their lifestyle. They live it. So, it's obvious that in the results they get. But if you would go there, what impresses me a lot is just you can see this incalculable number of hours that's been put into what they do, and they live the life. And it's really impressive.
It's probably the most relaxing thing we do is this live on Friday nights, and I say that in all sincerity.
This is the only time they sit still.
It's a reset. It's a reset going into the weekend. It just normally we would be working, and this is that short window where we just relax. We go to church Sunday, and that is a source of re-energization and relaxation. So, when you get a lot of energy from the communities that you live within, it powers you through the weeks.
And you have your family dinners like Friday, right?
Yes, sir.
You see, so that's another big thing too. You see how the family functions and works, and the amount of work they do, and that's a big part of what makes the Nelsons work. I figured that out. It's very impressive. I'm not impressed by when I see huge amounts of money put into shops and stuff, because anybody can do that who has huge amounts of money. But what they have, you can't do that way. It takes tons and tons of work and dedication. Like, I mean, there's enough wire that's been laid with a MIG or enough TIG weld on that property to circumnavigate the earth. I mean, I just don't know how much time gets put into the stuff you guys build. It's truly amazing. That's what I was thinking of looking at that Nova. And looking at the cages in your cars, just, and there's just so much time. So that, to me, is very impressive. And I like the example you guys set for time management for the community.
How many other questions do you got? We'd love to hear from the crew.
Yeah, you guys got the Nelsons cornered for a little bit. If you have any questions for them,
He asked if you took phone calls during church. The
Nope.
answer to that is no.
Absolutely not.
JB's S10 is apparently not a full truck. They're calling it an S9 or an S8 till he gets it finished. Yeah, I appreciate you guys coming on.
Yep.
Tonight was one of those days. I don't know. It's you can't feel 100% 52 weeks a year. Usually, the only Friday night that I ever am not live is because everybody's streaming from the burnout competition at No Name Nationals. That's the only one. And of course, here's the question that I'm surprised hasn't come up more often tonight. But Auto Salvage Outlaw says, any news on your car and or truck?
Nope,
Crickets.
unfortunately not. Yeah, it's been very, very quiet. The police did their investigation and didn't find anything, and that's about the only news that we've gotten on it. So it's
Yeah, we were hoping to hear good news. They had alerted us to the fact that there was a location in a different state that they were going to raid, anticipating that it might have been one of the vehicles that made it up there, and we did not hear anything after that. So we assume no news is bad news.
And you just never know. When you're least expecting it, you may get an amazing call. You just never know.
Well, we have hope that we hear good news, but we also know that life goes on without it, and everything in our lives that happens has purpose. 2 years ago there was a terrible crash, and last year was or this year was losing the rig, and those things are very challenging to absorb. But ultimately, the Lord has a plan for us, and we know that, and we have that anchor and rock to stand upon. And I can only hope that maybe we can inspire others to not take the hits in life to a point where it determines their ultimate outcome. We've got to all realize that anytime I feel sorry for myself, the first thing I do is remind myself of the young men that have gone off to war, and young men and women that have gone off to war and come back disabled, or the families who don't even have their sons or daughters come back. And we had relatively minor things when you compare it to the true sacrifice that others have done to allow us the freedoms that we have. So it's motivating to stay focused on the positive and stay focused on doing what we're allowed to with the privileges that we have with the freedoms in this country.
Just Mopar Joe says, sending the Nelsons love. Sends a super chat. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate that.
Any word on how Daniel made out with the Hemi on the dyno?
I don't know yet. I'm hoping that we get a shark or two will register and drop a video, because that'll get the rest in the pool. So we'll see. 48 days to go. Are you guys planning on getting in 28-10-5 with the yellow car?
Yes. Whatever we bring, we plan to participate. We're not going to make any claims to be the quickest, but we do plan to participate.
What do you mean? I'm going to beat everybody with my 26 by 9 inch slick on my wagon, right?
Well, if you do, that'll be glorious.
I tell you what, you watch that thing rock and roll down the track, and it's pretty impressive. But
oh yeah,
what's really exciting? We got a long way to go on the yellow car. We're still trying to sort it out with radials, but we bolt a set of slicks on there. That car should be fun to watch, because those 6 cylinders, we're up over 1,000 horsepower, and we can share that publicly, because the numbers aren't lying. We don't have that at the rear wheels, but 153 miles an hour with a 3,620-pound car. It doesn't take long to figure out that little sucker's making some steam.
Did you ever dial in the wastegate springs and such? Because I watched the dyno run on it.
We still have the softer springs. We still have a lot of room on the top side for boost. But the last few runs that we've done, we've only just recently started to raise the controller duty cycles, which would give it more boost. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to get to a track that's been able to hold it. We get to the end of the prep and go into tire smoke. So we're gonna have to switch over to slicks on that car to be able to race this time of year. The sun and high heat and radials don't mix at all. It's you have to have a certain prep to the track to be able to run that. Radial prep is its own science, and we've not been able to enjoy the full opportunity of performance on that car because of the limited traction.
Now, I will say that I've been talking with Possum, who's running the track, and there were a number of factors that limited the track prep last year. Some people, depending on their cars, ran the best they've ever run, but that wasn't because the track was better, I can assure you. However, this year, Possum says that TrackMass, track consulting company, he says they've come out to give him his recipe. He's buying his glue from them. And all of the independent reports I'm hearing from the racers say the track is worlds better than last year. And he ran all year long, all through the winter too. So this track has been in continuous use maintenance prep with a plan from a consultant to make it the best it can be. We have at least 4 people in the chat right now I can see that run there regularly. So if any of you guys have any input on that, by all means.
Well, I can assure you this: we're bringing slicks.
That's a good idea. The people that have 200 horsepower aren't going to notice one way or the other. But you guys make slightly more. And if you haven't seen the episode of these guys taking that car to the chassis dyno, you want to watch that. That's a good one. And here's Joe asking who your pick is for 28 10-5. What kind of question is that?
You know what? I don't have a pick. It's not just the performance of the car. There's a lot of things that happen, and certainly that makes a big difference. But the driver's got to be on time too. So if you got a tight field, you're going to have somebody who knows how to get the job done on the light. And ask me the day of the race, and I'll give you a pick. But at this point in time, I'm going to stick with, I think it was spoken last week, a Dodge won the first year, a Ford won the second. I'm going to go with somebody in a GM contingent. But ask me the day of the race, and I'll let you know who I think's the hot hand.
And Possum's going with the PJ1 traction compound. I know that Jeffers ran that for a long time, but bottom line is it's going to be good. Busted Radio Garage joins us. Thanks for swinging by. Joe says, I've got a slow car. It's all relative, man. Here is the link to the dyno test. Lars puts up the link. You guys should check that out. It's good stuff. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I watched it over lunch one day. It was good stuff.
We'll be back on the dyno hopefully in the next 2-3 weeks. We want to prove a couple things out, and within a month you'll see the next one. It's amazing how much energy it takes to put the videos together. Calvin spends a lot of time doing that. The theft, going back to that. There was months of video material that was lost when that the truck was stolen, because it had the computer in there that had all of the videos. And we've been kind of quiet on the channel for the last few months trying to play catch up, and we hope to be able to start sharing more volume in the near future. But it's taken months to catch up on the loss of all that material, and I hope folks are still appreciating what Calvin's been able to put together. We've learned a lot, in recent times. And the last video on the intake, it's fascinating, some of the things that you think you know until you prove different, that they aren't always what you think they are.
Buff Del Campo asks if you still have the red Datsun.
Yes, sir. You'll see that car again someday. I want to continue to pursue making that what I want to make it. We've got a couple ideas on what we want to do. One of the things that we're going to pursue in the relative near future is going to be a land speed effort with the straight six. What we talked about recently is get through sick week next year with the yellow car, and then transform that into a land speed car. We've got a Monza that we want to do. The red car was built originally to be a land speed car, and Calvin's been working with some manufacturers on parts that we're hoping will be used in the Datsun, and we'd love to get that car up over 200 in the standing mile, which would be a monumental achievement in and of itself.
Buff says that was his favorite car at the first No Name Nationals. Blue Grit Garage has a tech question here about running autocross tires on the drag strip. And what I'll say is that we do have another live about passing tech with Deke planned, and it may be this upcoming Friday. We try to do that twice a year. We try to do it in the spring, and we try to do it about a month or so out from the event.
Yeah, we actually do a race that is held in Florida called the Grassroots Motorsports Challenge, and there's actually a lot of people that try to run autocross rubber on the drag strip at this event because it's an autocross drag race and concourse style event, and it does not work well. I would not recommend that you do that. It's not the right compound for what we're doing.
I see guys will try to use the Circle Track slicks and drag applications too, and the compound isn't right, and so they'll do a burnout forever trying to get them hotter, and whatever.
Depending upon the compound, they work better than a 200 treadwear. Problem with the 200 treadwear is it digs holes in the starting line, so everybody that comes in behind you pays the price for how chewed up the starting line gets. The drag specific tires are designed to grip the surface and accelerate the car, and the ones that have the 200 treadwear typically are designed with a sidewall that is designed for a lot of lateral force, and being made in that manner makes them not good for forward acceleration. There's no wind up of the tire. When you think about a drag tire, the way it'll wind up and help accelerate the car out is all part of the structure. And those autocross tires, being that they're stiff sidewalls, they'll kick the tire and they'll dig a hole in the starting line, and it hurts the performance of everybody that follows them.
I have been telling people, and the people in the chat can absolutely confirm this, I've been badgering people to fix their leaks. I've had people say, well, can I run a diaper if I have some seal pour? And I'm like, why do that? Fix the leak.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
And I'm trying to set a good example. I actually pressure washed under the van just to look for leaks yesterday. So, I'm not going to tell them to do anything I wouldn't do. So,
well,
I get it.
Being that we participate in a lot of drag and drives, one of the requirements is that you either have an engine diaper or a belly pan, and we have belly pans on everything that we have. But what you said is step one: fix your leaks.
I was kidding Andrew here a while back, and I said, "Can I do a belly pan with a drain plug and a stump?"
Calvin just ran out the door real quick. We pushed a car outside to set up here to meet with you guys tonight, and it doesn't have windows that go up and down, I don't think. So he's trying to figure out how to protect it.
Oh, you can roll it back in. I wasn't planning on being live too awfully late tonight.
Well, we certainly don't want to overstay our welcome.
No. I could have flipped the coin going live or not tonight anyway. Hot Rod Guy Garage says 47 days and a few hours. The heat is on. Get motivated, everyone. It can be tough, but you know what? This is crunch time. This is what it looks like.
Yeah.
Blue Grit, we're all going to have fun. That's the whole point, is we go to have fun. But and I don't have any idea what that yellow car there runs. I know that the low ET for the No Name Nationals, I believe it's 552 or 551. It's one of those two.
Yeah, I think it's 552 and 122 if I remember. And then yeah, he was out in front of us. That's that I know.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm curious if we're going to see a new low ET this year.
There's no doubt in my mind.
Ouch. I want to be at the line for that one. Yeah, we've got some fast sharks out there. The only thing is you can't willfully outrun your safety equipment. I mean, you know, if you do, you get a warning. If you do it again, it's like, well, I mean, look, the first thing we're not anxious to throw people out. I mean, the first thing we do, if you run a personal best and it's awesome and it's too fast for your cage, we're going to congratulate you for the blistering good pass, because we're car guys too. We like fast cars, but you know, we have to have cars that conform to the AHRA rulebook and standards.
Well, I'm glad you're committed to that, and I'm glad the event's committed to that. You know, having been involved in a horrific accident, you know, that could have turned out a lot worse. I've raced for over 40 years, and I would have never dreamed that I would have had an accident the way that I did. And, you know, as you never dream of the day when a connecting rod coming out of an engine goes through a tire and sends you into a wall at 150 miles an hour. And, you know, we had a 650 cert cage in that thing, and we were only going 150. That cage was built for cars to go 190. And it's something that everybody takes for granted until they're on the wrong side of the equation. And when you get on the wrong side of the equation, it doesn't matter how hard you wish that you had safety equipment in your car. You either have it when you leave, or you're gonna you potentially will find yourself in a bad situation. So I applaud the efforts that you're making to remind folks that you're going to only be legal to your level of preparation, because that's a commitment that needs to be embraced in this day and age, where folks have gotten to a point where they're pretty cavalier about what they're doing. You know, it doesn't take long to search out how many incidents have happened in recent times where drivers have gotten severely injured or killed, and part of their reality is they had cars that were not prepared for the speeds that they were going. And there's no guarantees that level of preparation is going to make sure that you stay alive, but it sure does improve the odds.
You know, these are, I mean, I wouldn't want anyone to take unnecessary chances on the track, but these are my friends.
Yeah.
You know, these are people I care about going down this track. And the last thing I want is to see, you know, something really bad happen, crash, fire, roll, whatever it is, and have to wonder if my friend is okay.
Yep.
That just makes it even worse. And I think that we can do it. So, if we get a reputation as a place that the outlaw guys that scoff at safety just say, well, we can't go to that event because that guy actually texts. Well, that's fine. I'll wear that hat.
Yeah.
But I just think that's what all the track owners should be doing. And to me, the priority here is not seeing the absolute fastest fields possible. The priority here is everybody staying safe. And we can do that. And the thing is we live in a time where you can swipe the credit card and get a lot of power. But if that is a concern and you say that, you know what, I just can't deal with a car that can't make the speed, then you got the wrong challenge in mind. You should say, I want to try to make something that will break out of my speed with a 4-cylinder. I want to make something that'll break out of my speed that weighs 3,500 pounds. I want to make, a Lincoln Continental with an Iron Duke. See if I can go too fast for my cage. You can always realign your goal and have fun with that. It's not ultimately how fast you're going. It's what you're doing it with. Colleen Tebow here says, if you see the guy with the Spitfire, mention No Name Nationals to him. He was at Sick Week. Dizzy's going for a new personal best. Cool, man.
Cool.
Nice.
Well, we're big fans of folks trying to do their best, and I hope you achieve that, Dizzy.
Well, Joe, we just mentioned it. It came up. It is important. You have a nice, safe car for your AT. Lars puts up the link if you've not yet registered, and there is the link to the rule book. You can get the AHRA rule book right there. Buff says, I love the Iron Duke. Yep. Cool little engine. You guys have anything else? I think we'll call it a day here in just a few minutes. I won't tie you up all evening. I mean, it was kind of last minute that we thought about putting this together, but
Do you want to mention Buck?
What?
Do you want to mention Mark? Buck, just
You can.
public thank you.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, we've been getting a lot of help from Mark from Buck Does It, and I just wanted to publicly thank him. He's been coming over the past few weekends, and while we have the opportunity, I just wanted to say, saw him there in the comments and just wanted to say he's a swell guy, and, you guys should go check out his stuff, and yeah.
Yeah, the community is one of the best parts of this whole thing, and that's again, every Friday I love getting together here the way that we do, because it's a community.
Yep.
There's genuine friendships that have developed through this event, and we appreciate you guys, and I hope we put on a good show for you guys, because we do enjoy your company. And John, we truly appreciate what you're doing, because this is week in and week out. You've got to put up with some of the challenges that none of us get to hear about, and it's just publicly, I want to say thank you.
Thank you for setting a great example. Thank you for texting me. If you hadn't messaged me when you did, we probably wouldn't have been live tonight. But that said, I know a lot of folks will actually, for whatever reason, they will plan their Friday evening to be here and converse with the community. And I really think there's a lot of value in that. It is a good community. We see a lot of people who care about each other and do things that wouldn't without such a organization and forum to do it. And I think it's great. So I don't want to let them down. So anyway, thank you for texting me. And I think that just made it work out.
Yep.
Thank you. Good night, John.
Guys. I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up for the evening. You guys have a great and a safe weekend. Don't forget Sunday on my channel is the last content creator workshop of the season. And then I will confirm here probably tomorrow or Sunday to have the tech inspection live with Deke for this upcoming Friday would be the 9th of August. So we have that, and then we're going to be having some other stuff and guests on as we get closer to time. So with that, you guys have a great weekend, and we're out.